Stefanos. I am originally from Greece and I am a social media consultant. I've been teaching people how to use effectively social media, and I'm coming from a capoeira background in martial arts. That was the first time I tried MMA.
Oh, okay, really? It's your first time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you meet Team Lakay for the first time?
So I met the whole team, almost every single member, from a training we had with One Championship. I was the social media coach with the NAS Academy, and I met them through a program that we're doing, trying to level up the social media presence with One.
Okay, so it's more about content creation, is that correct?
All about content creation, yes.
So how was it, so this is your first time training here in Team Lakay?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so how was it? How was your first experience here in Team Lakay?
Well, it's a little bit intimidating training around all the people who, you know, they're champions, they are the best, and you know it. But, and I was worried in the beginning that I might be in the way, I might get in the way, it might be an issue. But it proved that this was not the case at all, and I literally have step-by-step guide. It was the first time I'm practicing punches, because all the martial art I've been doing was all about kicking, so I was a little bit skeptical. But everything was done so easily. There was no language barrier, and there was a lot of patience. Everything was so clear. So I never thought I would enjoy it that much. And I don't feel I'm gonna get injured as well, which is very surprising.
Nice, yeah. This is what you practice. What you practice here was kickboxing. How was it trying kickboxing for the first time, as compared to capoeira?
The punching was interesting because again it's something that I never used, but everything that I see starts making sense about the positioning, why this is the proper positioning, and with every feedback that I get after every punch, I could see the improvement, I could see more strength coming in, and that makes sense. So everything started to make sense in my head why the athletes do what they do. Now when it comes to kicking, and that's so interesting because I have a huge kicking background, it's very hard to forget what I know.
The habits.
Yeah, it's very hard to forget what I know and do kicks from the front into that way. And also, capoeira doesn't have the kind of kicks that you would use in a fight, in the ring.
Yeah.
It has a different mentality. But here, only the fact that when I kick in capoeira, I try to allow the opponent to dodge and I allow to get the distance. And here I should do the exact opposite, come closer, actually hit the target. That alone is quite hard, which is fascinating. But I guess, you know, with practice, the mind will clear. But
how was the trainers? How was your trainers?
Oh, phenomenal. So calm, and he's listening, so calm. And it's very important, you know, especially when you're starting to reward the beginner, because obviously I did a million mistakes, but it wasn't there. And every time he would add something up. So after he fixed something, he would add something, he would add something. So I truly feel that I learned something. I truly feel that, you know, now I can go. And when somebody asks me, is it your first time? I can say no. So I can pick up from where I left.
That's nice. So lastly, I just want to ask this for the last question is, what do you think about this gym as a general? What as a foreigner or as someone looking in, what do you think what is the first impression of Team Lakay for you?
So that's a very interesting question because I will come from the perspective of someone who, because I was working with One Championship, I had to look a lot of fights. I was watching my students creating video and seeing how different people fight. So that was part of my job. So I was watching the fights and I was watching the training with the perspective of let me see what they are doing, because I need to figure out the unique characteristic and put it out there. So it wasn't for pleasure. I wasn't looking at it to become a better fighter. I was looking at it to see how can we create more content, how we can make something interesting. So what's unique about Team Lakay is that from the beginning I saw that there are some values which I believe have to do with the Philippine culture, which goes a little bit beyond the normal, this is a fighting club. here we learn how to fight. Of course, there is in Thailand, there is a whole culture about
whole different thing.
It's a whole different thing. But I didn't expect that to be part of the Philippines. And Coach Mark asked me, about Greece, and I told him, I realized that here in the Philippines, many people go to school and then they have a choice. They can go to university, they can go to, they can start working, or they can start fighting. Which is a choice that we don't have in Greece. Nobody ever came and told us that, okay, do you want to start fighting maybe? So immediately I can see that fighting is a way to provide for your community and your family.
Yeah.
So these people, by fighting, they're providing for Baguio.
In a way.
In a way.
Yeah.
Which is mind-blowing if you think about it. So it's something more than just a ring and a reward and $10,000 or $20,000 that go in the thing. It's more about more attention to the city. We have people right now, coming from Australia to train. That means this place has something to offer. And the way it's built, the way they have all these champions that they were part of the team, that shows something. That shows a certain culture. So Baguio might be something that eventually we will be able to place in the map as a very important hub for fighters. And what I'm gonna say, to be honest, because I don't have, as I said, a background in this type of fighting, so I cannot really make a lot of comments about the technique, or because somebody might jump in and say, but the way they're done, like, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying, with the eyes of the person who, my job is to figure out what's unique about you and make sure that when we're in social media, we flourish that uniqueness. I see that the unique aspect of Team Lakay is this kind of team spirit and this type of dedication that goes beyond the one fighter in the ring and its coach. It gets the whole team, even the city, even the nation.
Yes.
And that's unique, I feel.
That's true. That's the same way with Manny Pacquiao.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
the same way with Manny Pacquiao. Okay, so just last thing, is there anything you want to say to Coach? Just for him, that you make a message for him.
I have to say that I'm very humbled with the way he has been treating me. I mean, I know I was his trainer in a way, but I always felt like he showed so much respect to whatever I was saying. He was always curious. He's a man, who's working hard. And he welcomed me over here. He knows that I'm a beginner, and he really focused, made sure that I felt welcome and comfortable. And I feel, since the beginning, I always felt that when we're sitting in the Zoom class, it was a Zoom class, obviously. So, I wasn't even in the Philippines back then. So when we were in the Zoom class, I always felt welcome, not only by the coach, by everyone, but everyone is just a reflection of the coach. That's always what happens. And I see that I've trained in more than 7 capoeira schools across the world. Always it's the coach that sets the direction for the rest of the team.
That's true.
So Coach Mark has set up a very clear direction, a direction of inclusivity, which is rare in many fighting principles, because we all know that there is a little bit of aggressiveness and there is a lot of money in just bitching with everybody else and being offensive. But here, I feel this is different, and that's the value. And I think that's what One Championship also loves about Team Lakay.
That's it.
Hi, this is Lito the Thunder Kid the Diwang. For more Team Lakay stories, click subscribe. Pa! Hoo!